Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monique. If you are new here, please kindly do well to click on the red button below to subscribe. In these tutorials, we'll be learning how to make this beautiful mini dress with an exaggerated sleeve for this gorgeous friend of mine. So let's get into it. She's a size 14, so this is the measurement required for these tutorials. We are using the freehand method. So I'll be using these 4 yards of Ankara fabric for these tutorials, and on the lining I'm using 3 yards. So the fabric is on a fold. So I use the biggest part of the body, which is the bust, divided by 4 to give me 10. Her bust is 40. So I'm adding extra 6 inches. That will give me 16 inches for the front. And for the back, I'll add extra 7 inches because of the zipper allowance. That's bust divided by 4 plus 7 inches. It will give me 17 inches. So now I'll start drafting the front pattern. So I'll take her shoulder to bust point, which is 11 inches. Then I'll take her shoulder to under bust. I'm using 14.5 inches. Now I'll take her shoulder to waist, which is 16.5 inches, but I'll add extra half an inch. That's 17 inches for seam allowance. Then I'll take the horizontal lines. So after doing this, I'll just label it. This is the bust line, the under bust, and the waistline. And now I'll be taking her bust pan measurement. Her bust pan is 8 inches divided by 2 to give me 4. I'm adding extra half an inch. That's 4.5 inches. I'm taking it all the way to the waist. Now the next thing I'll be taking is the shoulder width measurement. So her shoulder is 15 inches divided by 2 to give me 7.5. I'm not adding seam allowance yet. So now for the neck width, I'll be using 4 inches for her neck width. So in between the neck width and the shoulder, I'll get the midpoint. So it's about 1.75. So I'll connect it straight to meet the bust point, like so. Now I'll be taking her cup size. To get her cup, her bust is 40. So for a size 40, I'll be using 2.25 to create her cup size. So as you can see on the screen, these are the dart intake for each cup size. I'll also place it on the description box. So on the under bust, I'm going to take 2.25 for her. So the 2.25 is starting from the dart line. I'm taking it all the way to the waist. So I'll take a straight line, then I'll take a slant line to meet the bust point. That's from the under bust line, like so. So after doing this, remember we took this first princess line to the bust point. That's in between the shoulder and the neck. So now I'm going to take another dart. I'll times this 2.25 I got on the under bust. I'll times it by 2 to get the second dart line. So I'll place it from this first princess line. I'll place the 4.5 here. So I'll mark it here. Like I said, I times the under bust by 2 to get the line. So I'll connect it also to the bust point. I hope you understand. So this is our shoulder dart. Then I will make a broken line curve to create my cup shape. So the next thing I'll do, I forgot to do that. I'm going to take the chest line. So I'll get the difference between the bust point and the under bust. It's giving me 3.5. So I'll place it from the bust line here. I'll place it to get a 3.5, like so. Difference between the bust point and the under bust will give you your chest line. And for this is 3.5. So now I'll continue making the cup shape I need I'll stop at the chest line, like so. I stopped here. So the next thing I'll do, from the shoulder here on this slant line, I'll get the midpoint. That's from the shoulder to the chest line. I'll get the midpoint, and I'll take ½ inch out, like so. I'll take ½ inch out. Then I'll reshape the cup to further tighten the chest line to avoid gaping. So I'm trying to reshape it properly. So this is our cup. You can also use your pattern master to achieve this. As you can see, it's still giving me the same cup shape. So you can use it if you are not comfortable with freehand. So as you can see, this part will be cut out to tighten the upper chest line. So what I'll do next is to pin it up. I'm going to pin it up. Remember, it's on a fold so that it will not shift. It will stay firm. You just pin it up before cutting it out. So I'll first of all cut out the center front. Then I'll cut out this excess I don't need. I'll do the same thing on the center front. So I'll start cutting this part to shape the cup properly. So I'll notch the bust point. I'll also notch the bust point on the center front here. So what I'll do next is to take 1/2 inch on this side. I'll take 1/2 inch mark here because I'll be joining it back with my pins. So I'll take 1/2 inch like so. So after doing this, I'll place the center front back like this. So I'll make sure the under bust line and the waist are aligning. I'll make sure it aligns like so. So I'll pin it up. It's very important for it to align. Please make sure you make it accurate. So I'll start following this 1/2 inch line and following the curve shape. You can also use a loose stitch to do this. If you don't have a pin, you can use a loose stitch, but you lose it later on. So if you notice the bust line is not meeting anymore, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is for the under bust and the waist to align. So I'll just continue pinning it up like this. So I'm following the curve shape. So this is our cup. Now we've pinned it up. If you also notice, that the shoulder is not meeting up also. It still doesn't matter. It just helps us naturally slant our shoulder. So I'll just follow the line and take another straight line. Then the next thing I'll do is to take the bust circumference. Her bust is 40 divided by 4. It will give me 10. So I'll place it here. I'll be adding 3.5 inches for seam allowance. Then on her under bust is 33 divided by 4. It will give me 8.25. So I'll place the 8.25 here. I'm going to use 2 inches for seam allowance. So on her waist is also 33 divided by 4. It will give me 8.25. I'll place it here and I'll also add 2 inches for seam allowance. So I'll go ahead and connect the lines. Then I'll take from this bust point, I'll take a straight line to meet the chest line. Now I'll take, this is the neck width. The neck width is 4 inches. So I'll take her shoulder again. Her shoulder is 15 divided by 2 to give me 7.5. I'll add 1 inch for seam allowance. Then what I'll do, I'm going to get the midpoint of the chest line and bust line. This is the midpoint. I'll use it to shape my armhole. So from this shoulder measurement, I'll just connect it to this midpoint here. So I'll just make another curve like this to get the armhole. So the thing is, after sewing it, we'll still reshape our armhole, because by the time we join it, our armhole might be small. So we'll reshape our armhole later on. So we are done with our front pattern. I'll be drafting the back. So I took 1 inch for the zipper line, and this is the shoulder line. So the first measurement I'll be taking is the shoulder to back half length. So our back half length is 15 inches. I'll just go ahead and mark it straight. Then I'll take the exact waist measurement, which is 16.5. I added half an inch. That is 17 inches, just like we did for the front. I'll be taking the bust span measurement from the zipper line. Our bust span is 8 inches divided by 2. I'm adding extra 1 inch for the back. That's 5 inches. Then on the neck, I'm using 4 inches for the neck width, just like we did for the front. Then I'm going to take the shoulder, the exact shoulder measurement, which is 7.5. So in between the neck and the shoulder, I'll get the midpoint. It will give me 1.75. So I'll connect it all the way to this bust span line like so. So after doing that, remember on the front pattern, we use 2.25 to shape our cup. I'll place the 2.25 here like so. Then on the shoulder, from this first princess line, I'll place the 2.25 also. I'll take it all the way down. So I'll be cutting this part out. So I'm removing this part as the dart. So I'll take half an inch again here. I'll just mark half an inch, then I'll join it back. So I'll use pin to secure it. So this will be our back darts. I hope you understand. Please, if you don't understand, just rewind the video and check again. So I'm placing the front pattern on the back. I'm following the zipper line. So make sure you pull the cup out properly like this. Then you place it on the zipper line. So I'm just securing it with a pin before I cut it out. Make sure this part is flat and make sure the cup is properly placed. So just make sure the folded part is on the zipper line and it's staying firm. So now I'll just go ahead and trim it out. So I'm following the exact armhole, the exact shape, I beg your pardon. So I'm leaving half an inch extra on the armhole because the back armhole is a little bit wider than the front. So our front and back pattern is almost ready. So I'll just open it up. So now to tighten the zipper area to avoid zip bulge, on the back half length, I'm going to come in by half an inch. You can either use 0.75 or half an inch. So I'll take it all the way down. For her, I'm using half an inch. Then I'm going to slant it all the way to the shoulder like this. So after doing that, I'll be trimming it out. I used 4 inches for the back, remember, just like we did for the front. So I'm going to get the front depth. I'm using 3.5 inches. I am thinking maybe I'll use 3.5 or 4 inches. So I'll just go ahead and cut it out. Then for the back, I'm going to use 2 inches for the neck depth. Remember, it's a high neck dress, so it's not deep at all. So now I'll cut it out. So I'm thinking of adding a little slant on the shoulder. So I'm using half an inch for the shoulder slope. Remember, I told you it's a little slanted before. I'm just adding a little more to give it more slope on the shoulder. So this is the front armhole. Like I said, I'll reshape it later on. So to get the back style, remember it's an open back. I'll come down by 8 inches like this. Then on the side here, I'll come in by 4 inches. So I'll curve it to meet this 4 inches. So I'll take it all the way down, but I'll be using 3 inches here. So I'll shape it all the way down like this. So for the purpose of these tutorials, you decide whatever neckline or whatever you want to do on the back. It all depends on you. But because of the style we are making, we are going to cut through this line. So I'll cut out this excess for the zipper to avoid zip bulge. So our pattern is ready. This is the back pattern and also the front pattern. So now I'll be drafting the lower part of the dress, that is the skirt. So this is the front and this is the back. So it's on a fold. I use the biggest part of the body, which is the hip, divided by 4. Hip is 44, divided by 4 to give me 12. I added 3 inches for seam allowance. So the first measurement I'll be taking is her. I'm going to minus the 16.5 inches for the top. For the top part, remember we're making a dress, so I'm minusing 16.5. So her shoulder to hip is 25 inches. So I'm marking it here. Then I'll take her shoulder to full length is 35 inches. Remember, it's a mini dress. 35 inches. So I'm adding 2 inches for seam allowance. That's 37 inches. So I'll mark it out. I'll mark all my lines. And now I'll be taking her waist circumference, which is 33 divided by 4 to give me 8.25. So I'm going to add 1 inch for that and 2 inches for seam allowance. On the hip, her hip is 44 divided by 4 to give me 12. I'm adding 2 inches for seam allowance. So I'll use the exact hip measurement on the full length without seam allowance. That's 12 inches. So I'll take it all the way to the full length. Then I'll connect the lines. So I'll shape these hip parts. Then I'll take the darts. I'm using 4.5 inches. Then I'll come down by 5 inches. Then I'll take a straight line to get the darts. I'll take ½ inch on both sides. So I'll connect it to this 5 inches point. So this is our dart. So I'll cut through this line. So I'll be notching the hip line here. Now I'll be drafting the back. So it's on the fold also. I'll be using 1.5 inches. I made a mistake. I used 1 inch earlier instead of 1.5 inches. The reason why I'm using 1.5 is because she's on a bigger side. Her hip is 44. So I placed the front skirt on the 1.5 inches line and I'm marking out the waistline, the hip line and the full length. So on the waistline, I'll come in by ½ inch to tighten the zip area to avoid zip bulge. Then on this 1/2 inch I came in, I'll connect it all the way to this folded part. That's to the 1.5 inches mark like this. Then I'll also come in by 1/2 inch on the full length. It's a pencil dress to tighten it more. So I'll connect it from the hip to the full length like so. So this will give room for her butt area. So I'll place the front on the 1.5 inches mark. Then I'll cut it out. So I'll start cutting it from this 1/2 inch I came in with. Then I'll take it all the way to the 1.5 and to the waist. So this will give room for her butt area to sit well. So our pattern is complete. So this is the top part. So I'll be drafting it on the fabric and I'll show you. So I've placed it on the fabric. The fabric is on the fold, just like the lining. So I'm cutting the back exactly like this. I don't want the dart to show. So I'll do that and I'll show you. So we are done cutting out our patterns. This is the skirt. So the next thing I'll be cutting is the sleeve. It's an exaggerated sleeve. So I'm going to fold it into 2 like this. Then I'm going to refold it again into 4. So after folding it into 4, I'm going to refold it again on bias like this. So that means we have about 8 folds. So her armhole round is 16 divided by the 8 folds. That's divided by 8. It will give me 2. But I'll be using 3 inches so that I'll have excess because I would like to pleat it. So the full length is 12 inches plus this 3 inches. That's 15 inches. So I'm marking the 15 inches. That is the extra 3 inches for the armhole round. Will make it 15 inches. So I'll go ahead and cut it out. So this is the sleeve. So I'm thinking I may add more volume to give it extra fullness. So I'll be cutting 2 of this. If I have excess, I'll add to the sleeve later on. So I've added interfacing on the top part. I've also added wording, but I'll be explaining all this in the next tutorials because I don't want this video to be too bulky. So I hope this tutorials was helpful. Please don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching and please watch out for the next video.